In the world of the magic realm, where everyone is able to use magic freely in their daily lives, Regro and his son Mash live in a secluded forest. One day, Mash returns home and accidentally breaks the door, remarking that he couldn't figure out how to open it, so Regro starts scolding him, but Mash, unaware of his own strength, tries to fix it and ends up making it worse. Regro doesn't explain to him why his training focuses solely on physical exercises and heads out, warning him not to venture into the city. Completely ignoring this, Mash goes into town to get cream puffs for himself and observes people using magic for everyday tasks. At a cream puff shop, he accidentally binds the coins out of excitement before the people notice that he doesn't have a mark on his face like everyone else does. Meanwhile, a man named Brad learns that Rain Ames, a student at Easton Magic Academy, has been named this year's Divine Visionary, a title that brings the student wealth and fame. He goes to meet a chained man who hurriedly asks to forgive him for a minor theft before Brad annoyingly learns about an unmarked child in the city. Strolling in the city with his cream puffs, Mash accidentally runs into a drunken policeman named Terry whose shirt gets stained, and he erupts in anger. Mash offers him a cream puff, but only makes it worse, so Mash angrily rips his shirt off before Regro steps in, apologizing for Mash's actions and hurriedly taking him away. Back at home, Regro tells Mash to go repeat his morning training routine as punishment, and as he's sitting alone in the cabin, he suddenly notices a bird before Brad barges inside with his two lackeys and orders him to hand over the unmarked boy. However, Regro refuses to betray Mash, so Brad starts beating him up as Regro remembers his painful past and how meeting a baby without a mark gave him purpose. Mash suddenly bursts into the cabin and refuses to run away, so Brad starts battling him, but Mash effortlessly defeats him. Seeing this, Brad proposes a deal, telling Mash the Divine Visionary to get the police off his back while he takes the wealth and fame of the title, which Mash agrees to, despite Regro stopping him. The Easton Magic Academy is known for accepting only the most talented students, with less than 3% of applicants making the cut based on their exceptional magical abilities. Claude Lucci, overseeing this year's entrance exam, notices Mash among the candidates, despite Mash showing more interest in physical fitness than magic, and doubts he'll pass the test. As the exam begins, Claude surprises the candidates by conjuring desks with enchanted test papers that move around. Despite Claude's irritation at Mash's casual attitude, Mash menacingly orders the questions to stop moving and completes the test successfully. Claude then presents the next challenge, a magical maze filled with traps. In the maze, another candidate named Lemon asks for Mash's help and keeps blocking him from progressing. Eventually, after Mash saves her from a real danger, she admits that she was sent to delay Mash's progress in exchange for her getting accepted, but despite this, Mash punches through the maze walls and reaches the goal. Seeing this, Claude angrily fails both Mash and Lemon, but Mash breaks his wand before Headmaster Wahlberg intervenes, taking over the exam and summoning Mash for the final interview, in which he asks about his motives and tests his determination with a dangerous spell. But Mash refuses to surrender, showing his willingness to protect others. Impressed, Wahlberg accepts Mash to the academy. As classes begin, Mash gets put into a dorm room with a boy, Finn, who initially avoids him but later discovers his genuine nature. Mash asks Finn about becoming the Divine Visionary and becomes stressed after learning how brutal it is, but compliments Finn for being a great guy and offers him a cream puff. Mash mistakenly brings a burdock instead of a broom to class, so Finn lends him one. In their lesson, students learn to fly on brooms because Mash's broom doesn't move until he stomps the ground, making it jump into his hand, but as they practice flying, a classmate accuses him of cheating. In a speed test, Mash surprises everyone by winning a race against the classmate, shocking the teacher since he made a new world record. A creepy student named Lloyd says he would like to be friends with Mash, but he later starts making Mash do work for him, so he reluctantly obeys his unfair orders. When Lloyd physically attacks Finn, Mash angrily smashes his face into the ground, so the vice principal fireman arrives and starts threatening him, but Mash starts burying him into the ground. Wahlberg meets Mash and tells him that he's been sent a letter from the Magic Bureau, ordering him to expel Mash, but he isn't going to do that. He explains that to become a Divine Visionary, Mash must get good grades and earn gold coins, saying he'll handle the Bureau of Magic, while Mash focuses on studying. Mash's defeating both Lloyd and Farman earns him respect from the other students, and a spot representing Adler Dorm in a duello match, but in the match, Mash lamely stays on the ground since he can't use magic seeing, which the audience starts booing him. During the duelo game, the team captain, Tom, reminds him of a promise about being number one. But Mash denies making it, so Tom starts talking about the strength of bamboo and its survival skills, and admits forgetting to explain the game's rules, which involve controlling a ball in the air and passing it through a ring for points. As the match continues, Tom gets injured by another player, but despite Langdorm's lead, Tom says they have to give their best. Seeing this, Mash starts flying by moving his legs really fast and easily scores multiple points one after another, leading Adlerdorm to a dramatic victory. After the game, Tom praises Mash's growth and teamwork. The next day, Tom comes to practice with Mash, joined by Lemon, who wants to study, so he tries to avoid them and asks Finn for help, but Finn pretends to be asleep. Lance, the top student, offers to join and suddenly whips out a magical bottle, trapping Tom, Lemon, and Finn inside. In the forest, he reveals his 2 silver coin and offers to give them to Mash if he wins. Tom alarmingly recognizes that Lance is a double-line magic user. Lance starts battling Mash and uses his spell Graviole, but he shocks him with his hamstring magic, then casts Big Bang Dash, saving his friends. He realizes Lance really evil and says they should end the battle, which Lance agrees to, giving Mash a silver coin before leaving. Once that's done, Mash releases his friends but remarks that he should have waited till he returned, as they start annoying him. At Easton Magic Academy, students are sorted into dorms based on their characteristics: Ander for bravery, Orca for wisdom, and Lang for ambition. Mash learns that 5 silver coins make 1 gold coin and initially thinks he needs 28 more silver coins for gold, but Finn says he only needs 3. Lance arrives, surprised they haven't completed the work, calling them lazy, so Mash shows Lance a picture of Lance's sister in a pendant, stunning him with its brightness. Lance decides to help them with potions, showing them how to silence mandragoras, a crucial potion ingredient, but Mash's mandragora doesn't shut up until he slaps it on its face. With the mandragoras quiet, Lance guides them in potion making, but despite Lance's guidance, Mash's potions keep turning into cream puffs for some reason, seeing which he wonders how that's even possible. Lance decides not to lose to Mash anymore, revealing how he wants to join the Bureau of Magic and challenging Mash to try again. Meanwhile, a man, Abel, discusses taking coins from other dorms to strengthen Lang's power. During an off-campus class, a boy, Dot, tells Mash and his friends that he's the main character before Mash slaps him. Dot feels threatened by Mash's popularity with girls, especially Lauren, whom he clumsily tries to impress. In the forest exercise, a student from Lang, Silver Iron, provokes Mash to take his silver coins before Dot steps in to protect Lauren from him. When Silver threatens Lauren, Dot fights him but starts getting overwhelmed before Silver starts taunting him, but a stone from his attack knocks up Mash's cream puff from his hand. Dot is shocked by Silver's strength and worries about protecting Lauren, so Silver suggests a deal, telling him to take 5 hits from his magic, and he'll leave Lauren alone, wagering a silver coin as well. Dot reluctantly agrees, but Silver tells him that Mash has to also endure 5 hits. Dot tries arguing against it, but finally offers to take Mash's hits too. Dot gets ready to take Silver's Iron Fist and starts enduring the blows one after another. Impressed by Dot's strength, Silver gets ready for the final attack, and Dot wearily remains standing even after the 10th hit but slowly collapses. He urges Mash to take Lauren and run away, but Silver starts laughing and lands another hit, while Lauren mocks Dot too, revealing that she was with Silver from the start. Before Silver can attack again, Mash steps in, silencing him with a cream puff and challenging him to a 10-hit challenge. Meanwhile, Lance, Finn, and Lemon worry about Mash's safety. Mash effortlessly takes on the 10 hits and starts beating him up before starting to move towards Lauren next. Seeing Silver defeated, she starts crying to manipulate him, but Mash smashes her into the ground, after which Dot thanks him for his help. Lance reveals Lang's scheme to seize coins from the other dorms. Mash returns to the others with the gold coin he took from a scorpion, seeing which Lance warns him about Lang's elite. The next day, Silver timidly apologizes to Abel, who says there should be purity in the world, before suddenly transforming him into a doll. Holding the doll, he slowly says the divine visionary should be him and not some riffraff from Adler, declaring that he will have a world free of impurities before Mash suddenly enters with the door in his hands, explaining that he couldn't figure out whether he should push or pull, and informing Abel that he's talking to a doll. Abel asks why Mash wants to become a divine visionary, to which he apologizes for any misunderstanding. Abel offers to release him in exchange for his gold coin, but Mash refuses, so Abel unleashes Silver's puppet to attack him, but Mash swiftly disables it, freeing Silver, but he loses his coin as he's fighting a larger puppet. Accidentally stepping on Silver, he decides to take him to the nurse's office as Abel, confused, discovers his missing puppet button stuck in the coin he got. In Adler's room, Lance and Dot slowly start arguing, but Mash steps in and stops them before Lemon arrives and hurriedly informs them that Langdorm has managed to get their hands on 15 gold coins. Mash, Lance, and Dot agree to fight Lang while Wahlberg punishes Mash with owl hat cleaning duty. Lance offers to help him, worried about potential attacks from Lang before Alor and Anza, members of Magia Lupus, ambush the two. Alor traps Mash underwater while Anza launches shuriken attacks at Lance, but he decides to not use magic to protect the owls and stops his attacks as Mash shocks Alor with his swimming skills and swiftly defeats him. Lance retrieves a gold coin from Alor before Abyss Razor arrives to take the two back, wanting to avoid a fight. Lance thinks about the potential future battles with Magia Lupus, and outside, Abyss realizes that his mask cracked and thinks of how fast Mash was without any magic, remarking that he is the same type as him. Rhodes Emus, a powerful magma user from Orchidorm, encounters Abyss in a hallway who easily defeats him and takes his gold coin. Lance discusses Magia Lupus' powerful members and remarks that locating rival dorms is difficult due to the school's secrecy. He notices that Mash is making cream puffs and asks if he's paying attention, which he confirms before Lemon arrives and worryingly tells them about Tom's strange condition. In the infirmary, they visit Tom lying on a bed and he tells them about a dream of being trapped in a dark box. Feeling drained of magical energy, Tom and many other students are unable to use magic. Seeing this, Lemon gifts Mash a protective charm named Creamy. Later that night, Mash, Lance, Dot, and Finn explore the school and notice Lemon going somewhere as if she's being controlled as Lance realizes that she's turned into a puppet. They follow her to a hidden door, but Dot isn't able to open it with his magic, so Mash uses a sword from a suit of armor to shove it open. They go through the door and enter an ancient arena where they encounter Shun Getsuku from Langdorm. Shun, chosen by the Third Fang, challenges them to wager coins and challenge him, so Dot decides to battle him without the others' help. Meanwhile, at the Bureau of Magic, Headmaster Wahlberg learns of 6 dangerous inmates escaped from Hecatris, helped by someone named Innocent Zero. Dot uses his explosive magic against Shun, and despite being initially overwhelmed, he manages to defeat him in the end. However, they suddenly start sinking into the ground and get thrown into different rooms. Lance faces Worth Muddle, while Dot and Finn are up against Love Cute and Milo Genius. Mash is in a room with Abyss and gets ready to fight him. Lance Axe swiftly attacks Worth with Graviole. However, Worth quickly sinks into the ground with his mud magic and forms mud replicas of himself, but Lance swiftly defeats them using his gravity magic. Worth traps Lance's legs with burst magic and tries attacking before telling him to join Magia Lupus, calling Adler trash, but Lance declines and uses Graviole again, but Worth's muddy magic absorbs the impact. Realizing he needs a solid surface for his gravity magic to be effective, Lance throws debris at the walls to force Worth out. Surprised by this, Worth increases his strength with a potion containing magical essence drawn from other students, which enables him to summon a mud demon using his spell, Mudora's Circumth Mudora Devilis, a powerful magic only used by a few double-liners, but Lance counters Worth's demon with Graviole's Circumth Torture Pole and creates gravitational columns that tear apart the creature from different sides. Despite defeating him, Lance senses his opponent's inner struggle and returns Worth's dropped book and says he doesn't like how he talks but respects his effort before leaving. Meanwhile, Mash starts fighting Abyss, who overwhelms him with his sheer speed and reveals a device draining Lemon's magic, taking advantage of this to shock Mash before launching a barrage of attacks at him with his spell, Accelerate Sphere, and managing to severely injure Mash. Despite Abyss trying to crush Mash, he takes advantage of his power and starts pummeling him with blows. Lying in a crater, Abyss thinks back on his troubled past and how he was rejected because of his evil eye and declines Mash's offer of friendship, saying he'll change, but Mash says he won't reject him because of his evil eye and says they should have some cream puffs next time. Everyone's favorite Jiga Chad that is able to navigate through a magical school without having any magic is back with Mashle. Magic and Muscle Season 2, where Mash transcends the limits of what you can achieve by going to the gym, so let's get started. Adadorm has gathered the most coins, and Mash's friends manage to convince the student to keep quiet about the fact that he can't use magic. Finn, feeling uneasy, talks to another student who spills Mash's secret before Mash hurriedly tries denying it, but Finn steps in. The student warns him that he could be expelled for helping a non-magic user. They head back to their dorm and celebrate their victory over Landorm. While Mash waits for the divine visionary selection, Finn remains worried. Abel and Abyss join them for dinner, but Finn remains wary of them before Abel brings out a deck of cards. Lennon offers Abyss some tea, but he suddenly becomes flustered before Mash sucks dropped cream puff into his mouth like a vacuum. Looking at them celebrating, Finn remarks that this is too chaotic. Abyss privately warns Mash about Innocent Zero's interest in him, revealing how they're after people with strong magical abilities. He discloses Abel's backstory and says he's confident Mash's ability to bring peace. Meanwhile, a student eavesdrops on Mash's conversation with Abyss in shock, but suddenly runs away after seeing Abel return. An owl arrives with a letter, stating news of an emergency inquiry at the Bureau of Magic. During the inquiry, officials disapprove of Mash not having any magic, viewing it as a threat to their world's stability. Rio, a divine visionary, acknowledges Mash's potential but says following rules is more important, and challenges Mash to perform a miracle stronger than magic, and tells him to light a candle without touching it, so Mash brings out a wand and starts rapidly rubbing it against the wall before producing a large torrent of fire and lighting a candle as he declares that he'll sway the majority with his fist. Meanwhile, a group of divine visionaries remark that regulations exist to maintain order and there are no exceptions. Suddenly, Bless, under control of Innocent Zero, attacks Mash, so he rips out the magiparasite controlling him and easily immobilizes it. Despite this, Otto appears beside him to eliminate him, but Rio steps in to intervene before Wahlberg and Rain slowly enter the room. Otto doubts Wahlberg's choice to involve the divine visionaries, arguing that Mash's lack of magic means death, but Wahlberg says Mash's uniqueness might help in capturing Innocent Zero, who seems interested in him, as Rio tells Mash that Wahlberg is considered a living legend, since he's the only one who could go toe-to-toe with Innocent Zero. Wahlberg says he has an issue with how non-magic users are treated, and despite the others' objections, Rain supports Wahlberg and Blair says this case was his to process, and he wants them to defer the sentencing, so Otto agrees to spare Mash if he can become a divine visionary and prove he can beat Innocent Zero. Back at the dorm, Mash tells Lance that he doesn't have any magic, so Dot says they should go out and have fun. But Finn worries about what they'll wear and sees Dot wearing a full armor, Mash with workout clothes, and Lance with a t-shirt of his sister. They play a street game and visit a magic wand shop, as Finn worries about Mash's not being able to use magic, but is impressed when he lifts a legendary wand, after which Mash remarks that he feels happier. Days later, Mash plans to return home, worrying Rain, while Otto plans to stop him from participating in the Divine Visionary exam by sending Margaret, but as they're on their way, Rain suddenly attacks them while Mash and his friends happily decide to play a board game. Dot loses all his money in the game after being tricked by a lady on a tile, and Lemon's turn lands her in jail for restraining her love interest, which disappoints Lance, who is sent back to the beginning due to a tile revealing that his little sister will bring home a boyfriend. Finn's good deed earns him cash, but they're surprised when Mash is executed because the public discovers that he can't use magic. Meanwhile, Margaret defends himself from attacks and traps Rain, declaring that life needs excitement before rain, respecting Mash's dream of being magic-free, unleashes his power, and Wahlberg tells Neri about Rain's abilities and the importance of magical marks, especially his triple liner mark. Rain's third mark strengthens him against Margaret's spell, and he summons Eras before completely obliterated Margaret and the forest path. After the battle, he encourages Mash for the upcoming exam as Margaret sees the blood he lost and remarks that they save the best of last on exam day. Mash runs into Otto while heading into the battlefield, and his muscles assure him he can do it before he tells Otto he'll take him on with all his gut. As Mash enters the arena, the crowd starts booing him for not having any magic before the exam begins with a survival match in which they'll be hunted by 3 dead events, all the time horrifying Finn. The exam begins with the announcer teleporting the candidates to a field, which the audience watches through mirrors. Feeling hopeless, Finn sees a dead event heading towards another candidate, so the candidate tries to defend, but they find out that it's immune to magic, and the candidate gets eliminated unlike the others. Mash straight up punches the dead event. However, the announcer declares that it can instantly heal since it's a phantom. So Mash instantly starts running away from it and gets helped by a candidate named Max who shrinks his size. He explains that the dead events don't have good eyesight and says they should work together to pass the exam. While searching for the key, they come across the large balloon guarded by a dead event and try to retrieve the key before finally inflating it with magic and blowing it up to secure the key. Meanwhile, Lance successfully passes the test using gravity magic, and upon returning, Mash gives the key to Max, who convinces Mash to go on without him and suddenly collapses after an attack by Carpaccio, another student. Carpaccio takes Max's position and advances to the next round before insulting Mash as a weakling, but Mash says he hasn't met someone stronger than him yet. The exam proceeds to a team battle involving magic crystals they have to protect. Divided into teams, Finn worries about their chances without Lance before Mash and Dot accidentally break theirs, but vow to protect his crystal before they're split apart in a labyrinth, and he angrily questions why they aren't together despite this being a team match. In the enchanted world where ancient wands called Master Canes are known for their immense power, skilled mages are bestowed with extraordinary abilities, raising them to great heights. During the exam, Mash and Dot hurriedly decide to go find Finn as Dot wonders if they're screwed now. Understanding the team depends on him, Finn decides to guard their final crystal with his life before suddenly seeing Carpaccio with a knife lodged in his arm, standing over another candidate. He tells the candidate that this is why he should live the life he deserves and crushes his crystal before walking away, seeing which Finn decides to lay low here. He turns himself into a wall and looks around to see if he's gone before Carpaccio suddenly appears behind him and starts insulting him and warning him to hand over the crystal. But Finn decides to protect it for Mash's sake and suddenly starts bleeding. Finn decides to use his personal magic and switches Carpaccio's location to run away, but he suddenly gets cut before Carpaccio slowly approaches him and starts stabbing himself as the audience realizes he can transfer damage to his opponent. Finn refuses to give in, so Carpaccio is about to cut his neck before Mash arrives and smashes his head into the wall, thanking Finn. Carpaccio says his wand is special as Mash realizes he's getting hit by his own attacks. Finn remarks that you can barely call it a battle since it feels like Carpaccio's always on the offensive, but Mash decides to go all in and pummels him relentlessly, managing to make a crack in the goddess who starts attacking him with syringes. Seeing this, Mash sculpts a tennis racket with his iron wand and starts constantly hitting the ball at that single crack before finally managing to defeat it. Once that's done, he decides to show Carpaccio what pain is and smashes the racket at his head, as Finn remarks that was a bit excessive. Realizing what pain is, Carpaccio admits he's completely outmatched against Finn. Carpaccio's teammates get ready to fight Margaret, but he easily identifies their weaknesses with his hearing and advises them to surrender their crystals, but they refuse, hoping to defeat him with their combined strength before he effortlessly defeats them with a simple spell, leaving them shocked and useless against his power. With Carpaccio's team out of the running, the exam ends, and the candidates head back to the arena. Dot praises Mash for his performance in the qualifying round, but Mash remarks that he wants a cream puff, while Wahlberg admits Mash is going to face his toughest challenge, yet as he gets ready to battle Margaret. Margaret eagerly waits for his fight with Mash, and sensing the danger, Mash gets ready for the opponent he's about to face. However, the divine visionary Caldo remarks that he's concerned about Mash's safety, since he may be outmatched by Margaret's overwhelming strength. One of the defeated candidates asks Margaret to make sure he defeats Mash and offers to slip him a laxative, but he flicks him away and tells him to not do anything to dampen his fun. Meanwhile, Mash remembers his intense training schedule while Lemon thinks about how she's an emotional burden, and says that's because the man she loves is right there, before rejecting Dot as Finn remarks that he wants to home. Seeing Dot, Mash suddenly remembers his protein intake and starts drinking his muscle shake. Caldo suddenly appears and challenges him to a game to assess his abilities, so Mash accepts the challenge and begins the game of you look, you lose. Mash keeps managing to avoid looking in the directions Caldo points towards in the first 2 rounds and breaks off the entire area he's restricted to so that he can avoid losing, but as an owl takes his cream puff, he looks right, so Caldo says they'll call this one a draw. As the final exam looms, Mash faces off against Margaret, and swiftly avoids getting hit while Margaret doesn't take any damage either and says he's far from having enough enjoyment. Margaret summons a bright pillar of light, leaving the audience shocked by his strength, comparable to that of a divine visionary. Despite this, Mash charges towards him, so he attacks him with an energy ball, which proves too heavy for Mash to deflect, causing an explosion as it collides with the wall. But to everyone's surprise, Mash suddenly disappears and grabs Margaret before slamming him into the ground. As the smoke clears, Dot wonders how Mash managed to dodge the energy ball, so Finn explains that he retreated when he realized he couldn't deflect the attack, escaping its impact before it hit the wall. They suddenly realize that Margaret is unharmed, which Calder notes is because of a sound cushion he created before colliding with the ground. Although the audience assumes Mash used magic, Calder clarifies that he didn't cast any spells. Margaret, enjoying the fight, continues launching energy balls which Mash swiftly keeps dodging, but seeing how he's moving, Margaret guesses he's protecting something which turns out to be a cream puff. Despite his attitude, Margaret's true goal is to enjoy and stimulate himself. Waiting for Margaret's ultimate spell, Calder acknowledges his advantage before Margaret tells Mash to reveal his full strength, but catches him off guard with a magical fist and starts relentlessly attacking him, leaving him at a disadvantage. Margaret then casts the Death Gong, a powerful spell that induces unconsciousness within a 2-kilometer radius unless his wand is destroyed, so Mash hurriedly tries to reach Margaret before the spell activates, and just as the bell is about to ring, he hurls a slab of concrete at him. Mash manages to disable Margaret's wand, stopping the Death Gong, which impresses Margaret, who admits defeat. However, the arena suddenly starts shaking a rival as Innocent Zero arrives on top of a black dragon and freezes time. He approaches Mash and says he wants to absorb him to achieve his ultimate form, but Wahlberg appears behind him and says he shall not absorb Mash, declaring that he simply cannot hand Mash over to him. Wahlberg says he has a duty to protect the students as the Academy's headmaster. One of Innocent Zero's lackeys prepares to attack him, but Wahlberg's look makes him imagine his own defeat. Laughing, Wahlberg orders him to step back, while Innocent Zero defends his friend. He asks Innocent Zero about his goal, to which he admits he's looking for perfection, regardless of the suffering he may cause. Wahlberg challenges his self-centeredness and says Mash is important as a symbol of hope before unleashing his magic. Wahlberg summons Wonderenus, and Innocent Zero calls forth Cronus before summoning demons, as well, that are only focused on absorbing Mash. Wahlberg orders the candidates and visionaries to fight the demons while he faces Innocent Zero, so Dot and Lance use magic to defeat the demons, joined by Calder and Orta. Innocent Zero watches them battle before Wahlberg transports them to a private area for an uninterrupted duel. As they battle, a tower suddenly appears with Cell War, so Mash starts fiercely kicking it to bring it down as Dot notices Sitter Baby, a baby who transforms him and Lance into children, after which they both start squabbling, but Sitter Baby says this battle was one-sided from the start, so Lance limits the range of his Gravial magic to instantly defeat him, after which they return to their original forms. Meanwhile, Rio and Neri head to the arena, thinking about Wahlberg's connection to Innocent Zero. Meanwhile, Innocent Zero reveals that he doesn't have a face, and seeing Wahlberg's reaction, remarks that he's looking at him like some kind of monster before declaring that he is going to absorb Mash and eliminate Wahlberg. Using forbidden magic, he traps Wahlberg in a deadly spell while Mash starts running through Cell's attacks and swiftly punches him in the face. Knocked down, he wonders how he was defeated so easily, so Mash says he's already seen his attacks once before, so they won't work twice. Adam was a pioneer of magic and established the Bureau of Magic, earning him unparalleled influence in mage history. He always supported helping those without magical abilities and taught his students to protect the weak. In present day, the coffin containing Adam suddenly breaks open, revealing his body as Innocent Zero says he's revived Adam as a mindless servant. Wahlberg objects, but Necros uses his body manipulation and defends Innocent Zero. Despite Wahlberg's efforts, Innocent Zero finishes Adam's unstoppable revival through his powerful magic, and in a flashback, Adam tells Wahlberg to protect the weak. Though Wahlberg questions why, so Adam laughingly acknowledges his youth, but urges him to stay true to their principles. In the present, Wahlberg starts battling Adam, prepared to defend the Academy. Despite his age, Wahlberg believes he's the strongest mage alive. However, Adam uses his powerful dark magic to overwhelm him. As they're battling, Adam unleashes dark energy, but Wahlberg counters with his wand's full power and uses his expertise in spatial manipulation aids against Adam's dark arts before defeating Necros, declaring that he's committed to Adam's teachings, so Innocent Zero challenges him to battle. In the arena, Dot, Lance, and Caldo are fighting a horde of demons, and Orta urges them to fight, realizing the demons are going to drain their magic. Meanwhile, Mash learns of Innocent Zero's plan from Cell, who reveals that Innocent Zero's wants to become immortal by sacrificing 6 relatives, including Mash. Stunned, Mash says that's too weird and grabs him from behind to furiously choke him and KO him in an instant. As Cell slowly falls, Mash says he cares for the school, so if they're going to try to destroy it, he'll choke them out with his muscles. Rio and Neri approach the arena, with Rio suddenly worrying about his appearance, wanting to look his best before they suddenly stop when Neri notices that time has stopped around them. Realizing they're in a zone where a mage has stopped time, Rio decides to go on alone, confident in his magical abilities. Upon reaching the arena, he praises Orta and Caldo for protecting the students, discovering the candidates helped them. He asks about Mash and learns he defeated Cell before seeing enjoying a cream puff. Orta informs him about Wahlberg's ongoing battle with Innocent Zero and Mash's search for him, though he doubts Mash's success. Orta says they should interrogate Cell to find Innocent Zero, but they're stopped by a protective barrier. Recognizing someone is shielding him, they decide to stay in the arena for the students' safety, and despite wanting to fight Innocent Zero, Rio remembers Wahlberg's teachings, prioritizing student safety and trusting Mash's strength to find Wahlberg. Innocent Zero reflects on Wahlberg's powerful magic, but suddenly gets trapped by Wahlberg's spatial manipulation. In a flashback, it's revealed how Wahlberg struggled as a child, but with Adam's encouragement, he got more and more confident. In present day, Wahlberg vows to protect his students, unleashing his full power against Innocent Zero. Despite being wounded, he attacks Innocent Zero with full power, and as the light fades, he faces Innocent Zero, who reverses time to gain the upper hand. Innocent Zero strikes Wahlberg, but just as he's about to be defeated, Mash intervenes, reminding Wahlberg of their first meeting and saying he'll knock the stuffing out of any enemy who overwhelms him. Mash challenges Innocent Zero to a duel, surprising Wahlberg, who finds the moment awkward, becoming distracted by Mash's legs. Meanwhile, everyone at the arena becomes confused and questions why Wahlberg's spell vanished before Caldo realizes Innocent Zero turned back time. Rio decides to find Wahlberg, leaving Caldo in charge, acknowledging Innocent Zero's power, while Mash refuses to retreat despite Wahlberg urging him to. Innocent Zero tries to manipulate Mash, but he stands firm, prompting Innocent Zero to attack. He traps Mash and Wahlberg with a dark spell, boasting of his body experiments and magic theft, including Adam's, and although Mash rescues Wahlberg, Innocent Zero says he's already drained his magic. Taking control of Uranus, Innocent Zero unleashes destructive light beams using Wahlberg's magic. Mash rushes in, but Innocent Zero doesn't budge, confident in his strength, but despite trying to defeat him, Mash fights back. Remembering their past discussion, Wahlberg realizes Innocent Zero's plan to absorb Mash for his perfect body, and challenges Innocent Zero's claim that Mash doesn't have the right to live without magic. Innocent Zero attacks, but Mash swiftly saves Wahlberg and is determined to defeat him, declaring that magic isn't everything, so Innocent Zero retreats, leaving behind a dark energy beam that fizzles out, confusing the others. Suddenly, a powerful monster appears and prepares to attack the academy. Exhausted, Wahlberg is rescued by Rio, and they watch as it breaks into the arena, scene which Lance and Margaret quickly join the fight. Dot attack is stopped by a magic barrier, and Caldo remark that an enemy mage might be involved and joins Orta's search while the academy prepares themselves as the monster approaches them. Suddenly, Mash intervenes and grabs the monster's chain to stop it. Seeing that he's trying to protect them, the students start cheering for him before Mash finally hurls the monster away. Later, Wahlberg wakes up in the infirmary, where Rio informs of Mash's heroism hearing, which he remarks that the one who embodies Adam's concept the most is Mash. Caldo and Dot locate the mage behind the barrier and plan to arrest him, but Orta intervenes, crushing the mage. He assumes Caldo supports Mash and says he'll never accept Mash, to which Caldo says he hasn't completely accepted Mash either, but his strength is legitimate, and Orta will have to accept it too. News of Innocent Zero's attack spreads, But the authorities praise the divine visionaries for handling it, and the Bureau of Magic conceals the truth of what actually happened. Troubled, Mash decides on a beach trip with his friends, and while they're enjoying themselves, Dot shows them a watermelon creature that attacks Mash, so he defeats it and says they should eat it, to Finn's shock. As they play, they discuss Mash's future and worry about how the public might react negatively to Mash not having any magic, but Lemon defends him, and Wahlberg arrives, warning of Mash's upcoming challenges, but relaxes despite this, noting the brief nature of summer. He tells them about Innocent Zero, urging support for Mash because of his unique strength and determination that is very important for overcoming difficulties. Despite Lemon's worries, he says he believes in Mash's strength and tells him to succeed in the Visionary Candidate exam. With the exam oncoming, Mash says he's received so many things dear to him since he's entered this school and vows to become the Divine Visionary, declaring that no matter what comes his way, he'll knock the stuffing out of it with his fists, and with that the season comes to an end. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.